Welcome everyone to this webinar. Our featured product of the month is the Knowtifier, as you all know. Today, Michael Cadlib, who's our service manager, support manager, will be doing the presentation. And so, as usual, we will be taking questions throughout, so make sure you post your questions. Michael will stop in between, and then we can answer those questions, and we'll also take questions at the end. The other thing is, we always get questions whether we record them. These are recorded, and we will put them up on our website, usually within 24 hours, they're up there. Michael, if you can just take us to keystroke.ca, and then we will show you at the end as well, but I will show you the webinar, or where you can find the training with videos. Michael?
Sure. Yeah, would you like to go to the website right now?
Yeah, why don't we do that right now, and then we'll also show at the end.
Hold on one
second. If you go to
switch my view.
If you go to keystroke.ca, and on the main page, if you just scroll down on the main page, and then you'll see on the right-hand side, you see training, and if you go to Keystroke training videos, it'll be posted there within 24 hours. So make sure you take a look at them, and also while you're there, these are all the other monthly videos that we've created. If you scroll down a bit, Michael. And you can see all of them there, so feel free to browse through them. You can watch them as many times as you want, and if you have any questions, you can also email us. So with that, Michael, I'd like to pass it over to you, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Vic. So as Vic said, today's session is going to talk about the Knowtifier. So whether maybe some of you out there already have it and have been using it, some of you may have it, maybe haven't been using it, or maybe some of you are sort of looking into getting it. Today we're hoping to cover sort of all elements of this. So some of the first parts that we're going to talk about here might be review for some of you guys out there who have been using it for a while, but I'm sure even the people who have been using it will catch some tips and tricks and some things that maybe they haven't used before. Okay. Also a note, what I did was, as part of the Knowtifier today, you should have all probably gotten an email maybe about 15 minutes ago or so, with it's just sort of a general new customer email, okay? That was sent through the Knowtifier, and also I have one going out, I believe in like 2 or 3 minutes from now, that's going out. So those are just test emails that you guys will be receiving, that were sent through the Knowtifier, just to show you how the sort of template looks once you receive them on your end, okay? But let's go through the whole process here of how to create a Knowtifier notice and what they actually do. And actually, let me take a step back. Before we actually do that, let me just sort of explain sort of what Knowtifier does in a nutshell for those of you out there that maybe aren't quite sure what it does. It helps you automate things within ACT. By that meaning that in your day-to-day process of sending emails and scheduling things within ACT, this helps you do things in a more efficient manner. Okay, so it's going to do these things for you. It's going to send out emails if certain dates match, or if certain criteria match within your database. It's going to automatically send emails out or schedule things, or it can send you lists of things. So if you want to see maybe all the sales that were made yesterday, or all the opportunities that were created yesterday, or if you utilize custom tables, maybe you're in the insurance business, you want to see any renewals that are coming up within the next 7 days or the next week. Maybe you send out birthday notices to people, so you want to see a list of all the birthdays coming up this week. Okay, things like that. The Knowtifier can do for you. Okay, so instead of you having to do queries in ACT or do certain reports and things like that, you can have the Knowtifier do all these things automatically behind the scenes for you every single day. Okay, and the way we utilize it internally, so you guys probably get emails from us regarding your software renewal. So if you're on a subscription plan for ACT software, I'm sure you probably get our software renewal emails when your renewal is coming up. You may get support ticket information as well. Things like that we send out to clients on a ongoing basis depending on their renewal dates, their support dates, things like that. Okay, so those are all sent through the Knowtifier. Helps us sort of keep an audit trail on what's going on with everybody. All right. So let's actually get into the actual nuts and bolts of the system here. Okay. So Knowtifier is actually a separate application. It's not within ACT itself. So as you see here, I have ACT open in the background. Okay, here's my ACT database. This is a custom table view. and then I have Knowtifier here as a separate program. And then you log into your database up here. You enter in your criteria, your database location, the username and password. One word of caution with the Act database file, if it's not a local file, meaning that if it's on a shared network, what you need to do instead of a map drive, so if you have it mapped to like the G drive on your server, you don't want to use G in there. You want to use whatever the server name is, okay, which is called the UNC path. If you're not sure what that is, just mention it to your IT folks and they should know that. Or if you need assistance, you don't really have an IT staff, let us know and we can log in and get you to how to connect to there. But basically, you need the server name in there instead of the whatever the map drive letter is for it to connect properly.
Do you want to explain why?
So I actually don't know the exact reason. I know Austin does, and he told me and I forgot.
So I'll explain that the Knowtifier runs as a service in the background. That's why you don't actually need it running in the forefront. So all of these things will run as a service, and any Microsoft services do not work with map drives. So you have to use the full UNC path. So that's the simple explanation.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Okay, and then once you log in, any notices that you've created will show up down here below. Okay, so these are the notices that I've created. And as we look here, I have most of them enabled. I unchecked the last one because that was a test one I was doing, so I had unchecked that so that it didn't run this next time. So you can actually sort of pick and choose their different notices as you want them to run. Maybe some notices are strictly maybe a certain season, or you have a promotional season when you send out things, so you only have them running maybe from September to December or just in the spring, certain times of the year. So you can enable them and disable them as you need to without having to, delete them. So you have them still in there. You have all the settings. When it comes time to run them again, you just enable it. Okay. And let's just sort of go through some of these that are in here to sort of show you what they are, because some of these are just different. There's different settings for each one of these. So for example, a popular one that people like to use is birthdays, because they want to wish happy birthday to everybody. So this is going to send somebody a list of the birthdays for the week. Now when I say somebody, it's not going to send it to your client. It's going to send it to somebody in your organization. So maybe whoever's your marketing person perhaps, or the admin or the office manager, whoever's sort of in control of, the birthday, whether it's birthday greetings, birthday phone calls, birthday postcards, whatever, that would be the person that probably would receive this. So let's take a look at this one. Okay, so whenever you create and or edit a notice, these are the types of notices that you're going to have available to you. So you have an email notice, and what an email notice does, it sends the email to a client. So with that one, you would actually pick a template that you would send to a client. So that email that you probably received from me just a few minutes ago, that was an email notice, okay? Activity workflow, that's going to allow you to create an activity based upon, an email to your client. The activity workflow allows you to create activities based upon field values. So if you have different field values in your database, you can then create an activity based upon that. The email report, which is what we're going to use here, is going to be an email report to yourself, or like I said, to whoever's sort of managing that particular aspect of the project, with a listing of items. So in this case, it's going to have a listing of the birthdays this week. Activity email alert is an alert that gets sent to either the client or the user, or both, with an upcoming activity. Many of you on this call, I'm sure, have received an email from us indicating that you have an upcoming meeting. If you ever had a support meeting with one of us, you probably had a meeting, one of these emails. We have it set, I believe it's 30 minutes prior to the meeting, and it just says you have an upcoming meeting with Michael Cadlub or Nav Jagdet or whoever your support rep is for that particular meeting regarding ActSync issues or Knowtifier issues, whatever it's regarding. Okay, so that's all done through the Knowtifier as well. Remote database sync notice. If you're using remote databases, you can have a notice sent to you if you haven't synced in a certain amount of time. And then reporting for Act notice. If you have a subscription to reporting for Act, you can utilize this software with integration to reporting for Act. Okay. So we're going to cover on this one here, this is an email report. Once again, this is the birthdays this week. You name your notice, and that's what name shows up in this list over here. Okay, so that can be whatever you have to be descriptive enough for you to know what it is. checkbox if you want it enabled or not. The template pass, so this is if you're sending an email to clients. Once again, this is a report that's going to go to you, so there's no template here for this, okay? We'll show you in a couple slides here where you select the fields that you want to see on that report. So I'm going to go to next. I'm choosing what record type I'm looking at. In this case, the birthdays are controlled on the contact table. The other fields, or I'm sorry, other tables that I can sort of trigger on, there's going to be 3 different types. So we have the contact table. That's really like your main table where you have company, contact, your phone numbers, your emails, and any kind of custom fields you have. Opportunity table, so that's where you track your sales, you know, opportunities, the quotes, the products that you're selling people, the statuses and stages and things like that. Or custom table, and custom tables can be anything, okay? And when you select custom table, you would then have the option to choose what custom table you're going to use. Okay, so I have a bunch in this one. This is the demo data, so I have a lot of them. In your database, you may have 1, you may have 2, 3, 4. You would choose whatever custom table you want and then choose your criteria. Okay, once again, for this one's birthdays, so it's the contact table, and we're saying birthdays within the next 7 days is our criteria. Okay, you can add additional criteria. So if you only want this going out to customers and not prospects, you can do so. You would add another criteria and say ID status contains customer. Okay, next. So right here, we're not really triggering on any particular date field. What this means is that certain notifiers you can trigger on a date field. For example, let's say you wanted to send a notice whenever the create date was today. Then that would trigger based upon an anchor date field, the create date field. In this case, we just want a simple listing of anybody that has a birthday this week. We don't care what the date field is exactly, okay? So this way we choose this button up here. Report does not require an anchor date, and we just ignore everything on this page for this particular one. This is going to be the email subject as it comes into us. So birthdays this week. Once again, that could be whatever terminology you want to use there. You can CC additional people if you want, even including the record manager. So that would actually CC the record manager of the contact who's having the birthday if they wanted to. You can change the reply to address on this if you needed to. And then here's where you put the email address that you're sending it to exactly. We have this demo email address, black hole at keystroke, that we use. So that's what I'm using here for this particular demo today. But you would obviously put your email address here, or once again, whoever's sort of controlling the birthdays. And if you wanted to send it to multiple people, you would separate it with a comma, as it says here. Okay, so you can send. I don't think there's really a limit there that you can send to if you need to send to multiple people. And as far as what field, what data do I want to see on the actual email that comes into me? So over here where it says edit report columns, and then I've already added these fields here, so I'm seeing the company, the contact, the birthday, and the age. If I wanted to add additional fields here, and as you see these emails popping up over here, these are the emails that I had set through Knowtifier to come in, so you see emails that are coming in here. But this is how you would add fields. So if I wanted to add, maybe their email address to that list as well. I would say contact email, click the add button, and then there it goes on my list. And then I can adjust where that's at in the list by highlighting it and then going up or down, depending on where I want it to go. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and hit OK there. And the frequency, well, how often do I want to see this? Maybe I just want to see it every Monday, weekly. But in this case, I want to choose daily just for them testing it. But typically, you might just want to get this one every week. And when you choose weekly, it's going to send it to you on the first day of the week. Now, if you choose monthly, it'll send it to you on the first day of the month. If you choose annually, it'll send it to you on January 1st. Okay, so you get to choose sort of when you see this. I'm sorry, when it gets sent to you. And then that's it for that particular one. So I'm going to hit finish here.
Quick question, Michael.
Yeah.
If the date falls on a weekend, how's it handled? Does it show up on Friday or Monday?
If the date falls on a weekend, so since we're doing within the next 7 days, it doesn't matter. So 7 days from now. So if typically you would receive that on a Monday, so it would still go to the next 7 days. Okay. And then here's that birthday that we got, including our own. If we see here, we have our own Vic Cron celebrating a birthday today. So looking great for 99.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Happy birthday. Okay, so this is going to give you a little list here in your emails of all the birthdays this week. And once again, we showed our birthday and we had the age in there, but we can include other additional fields if we wanted to. Okay, so let's go back to our go back to our notifier. And the next one we want to look at is, let's say we want to look at last sales. Okay, and this is a request from a client that we had this week. So I wanted to get this one in here because I'm sure maybe other clients might have the same thing. So this particular client, they keep track of the last sale they made within the contact table because they use opportunities just a little bit differently. So because their close date's a little bit longer than the actual sale date itself, so their last sale they track in the contact table and with just a simple date field. So if they closed the sale, if they made the sale today, they go to that last sale and mark it as 9/17/20. And then a week from now, if they have another sale, 9/20 or 9/24/20, et cetera, et cetera. So they want to see any clients that maybe had the last sale within the last 30 days, within the last 120 days, within the last 140 days, whatever. So we can set that right here. And once again, it's going to be a report similar to that birthday. But let me show you how we do that process. So we're going to edit this one. Once again, it's an email report. We give it the name. We enable it. It's a contact table field, and the field is last sale. And let me just show you that on the actual ACT layout here. So if we go here, we have last sale. There we go, right there. Okay. And so we're just saying within the last 30 days. Next. Once again, we're going to ignore the anchor date and just get a report of anything within the last 30 days. Email subject, sales within the last 30 days, who we're going to email it to, the columns we're sending, frequency, daily, complete the wizard, and then let me show you how that one looks like. Here's our sales within 30 days. Okay, so we have our company, our contact, email address of the person, and then also their last sales date. Okay, so it doesn't, I think somebody had a question to me in a previous class, I just want to cover this. The report that comes in is not an actual Excel file, so you don't get an actual attachment. But if you notice here, you can basically just highlight this and then right-click copy and then paste it into Excel if for some reason you wanted to use it as an Excel file. Okay, so you can use it as Excel or you can paste it into Excel, but it's not physically an Excel file when you get the actual report. Just sort of basically it's a table embedded within your email. Okay. All right, so those are based on contact fields. Okay, so next thing we want to do is look at a renewal that is, or I'm sorry, not a renewal, but a notice that's based upon a custom table field. Okay, and that's going to be these two right here: renewals due in 7 days and renewals due today. So let me go back to ACT and show you where this data is kept for this particular one. So these are in I have an insurance new custom table, and here's the renewal date field. And let's just sort by that field to get the data here. So if we look here, the ones I have highlighted here are sort of all within this week and next week here. Okay, so these renewal dates are basically what I want to see on this report that I'm getting. So let's go back to Knowtifier. And first we'll take a look at the renewals due in 7 days. So let's go ahead and edit that. Once again, it's an email report. The name and enabled. Now here's the difference that we did from the first two. So instead of a contact table, we're choosing the custom table. Okay, and then the custom table we're choosing in this case is insurance new. That's where the data is going to be coming from. And here's our criteria: renewal date within next 7 days. Okay. Once again, we ignore any anchor dates. We just want to see a report on everything within the last 7 days. We give the email a name. We give the send to an email address, and then on the report columns, we want to see. So these two fields right here, company and contact, are coming from the contact table. And then if you want a custom table field to come on there, we have policy number, plan type, annual premium, renewal date. If we want to add any other fields here, we go here, click the field, and then hit add. And then you'll see custom table and whatever that field name is. OK. And then as we go to that email we received, renewals within due in 7 days. And this last column is going to be our renewal date. So anything within the next 7 days, including today. Okay. So I mean, just think of the power of this. Okay. So instead of having to do lookups every day to get this information, whoever sort of manages this is getting this email in their inbox every single day about anything that's coming up. Okay. The renewals is just one example. So I mean, you can base this on any date field you have in your database, whether it be in the contact table or in a custom table that you have. And you can, like I said, you can have this report right in your inbox every single morning with the people you need to follow up on. Okay. So you have this large database, everything, and then boom, here comes this list. These are the people that you need to renew for whatever the subscription is that you're selling this particular customer. And then likewise, the ones due today, basically it was the same process. I'm not even gonna go through here. It's the same thing. The only difference is the days, instead of 7, it's 0. Okay. And so then the email comes in like this. Here's the upcoming renewals due today. So that's a little more urgent one because you don't have the 7 days anymore. Now the renewals are today. So you want to follow up with these 7 people who haven't renewed yet because their due date is expiring today with whatever their expiration is for. Okay. Vic, any questions so far?
Yeah, Michael, let's go back to the question from earlier.
Okay, sure.
If somebody sets up a phone call on my birthday and it falls on Saturday, when will the activity be scheduled for Monday? So that's the first part.
Okay, so they actually schedule the activity. Okay, gotcha. So that's a little different. So let's actually create one of those. So let's add one. So we're going to add activity workflow, birthday call. Selling record type, okay. And now we're going to say, okay, when birthday, and then if you want to call them on the actual birthday, you'll just leave this as 0, okay? So when you're using it based upon a field, you can go before or after. So if you wanted to call them one day before their birthday, you would say one day before. If you want to make it belated, you can do one day after, okay? Or you can do 0. If you do 0, it doesn't matter. 0 before or 0 after is the same thing, so that doesn't matter. Okay. So on that birthday, it's going to trigger it, and then here you're going to select you're going to create your activity. Okay. I don't think we have. Yeah, we don't have a thing for the weekend as far as like advancing it. So it's actually going to schedule it on that particular day. That is the question. I guess the answer to your question.
Yes.
So if the birthday falls on a Saturday, the call itself will get scheduled for that Saturday. Now, if that person's not working or doesn't have access to their Act database over the weekend, as long as they have an alarm set with it, on Monday morning when they come back in, they'll see that alarm ringing to make that phone call.
Yeah. So if I turn my computer off for the weekend to come back into the office on Monday, the alarm will be there for me.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that answers the question. Thank you.
Okay. Now one thing with that. So let me follow up on that. If you turn your computer off that has Knowtifier running on it, it will not be on there. Okay. So Knowtifier runs on a specific day, and if it's not running on the day when that birthday is, it's going to miss that because once again, it's looking at this trigger date here. Let's go back here, 0 days before. So if your birthday is, let's use this Saturday, 9/19. Okay, that's this Saturday, and for whatever reason you shut down the computer where Knowtifier's at, well on 9/19 it's not running, so the service is not going to send you an email, and then you turn it back on Monday, which is 9/20/9/21. This is already passed, so it's not going to. It doesn't look into the past. It says, okay, it's 0 before. I'm looking only at today's birthdays and sending them an email or a creating an activity, whatever you want to do there. So with that being said, for those people that use Knowtifier, you really want to have it run or installed on a server that's going to be running 24 hours a day, or at least during the day period anyway when you have Knowtifier running. You don't want to have it on your laptop necessarily or a desktop computer that you're going to shut down every day or on the weekend. If you can, if you're a single person and only a one-man shop or one woman shop, then obviously you don't have that luxury of having a server, so you may have to have it there. But for those people that do have a server, we always recommend to run this on your server so that you have the full. It's always going to be running, basically, is what the bottom line is there, so that you don't miss things that might happen on a weekend or something like that due to the date.
And Michael, just also remind people that if they put it on a desktop, that make sure that the power management allows it to keep running, because it will not wake up power management if you run it on a laptop.
Right. So what Ken's talking about there is, like, you know, if you have your desktop set to go to sleep after 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, to save the power management, you want to, you know, change that to be on full time. So once again, another recommendation of why to run on a server, because a server operating system is built to run all the time, or Windows 10 or is not really built to just stay on 24/7 to run that. The memory just leaks too much on the regular operating system. So was there another one, Vic? Another question I think you had, or?
Let me just see. The statement here was, we could set up a 7-day report, another one for 0-day. This way we could see if there's a birthday that falls on Saturday, correct? I believe that's correct. So the 7-day report would catch it?
Well, the 7-day report still catches. So if we look at this birthday report, so like 9/20 is Sunday, so it's still catching it, you know, still, because it's within the 7 days.
Yep, no, that's perfect. That's what the question was. So
yeah,
Andrew, that is correct. Your assumptions are right on.
Yep, and if you want to, you could even, you know, in here where we have birthdays, you could have this within the next 10 days just to go over even a little bit further. You know, you don't have to have it, just the value could be whatever you want. So, you know, you don't have to just have it within 7 days. That might be even better, just set that ahead of time, or 10 days or whatever. This way you're really, you know, getting everybody into the picture there. So.
Great, thank you. That's it for the questions right now.
All caught up? Okay. All right, so let's get to a couple here that have templates involved, okay? Where we're actually gonna be sending templates to these clients. And before I do that, let me show you how to actually set up your email, because to send the templates out, you'd have to have your email set up. Even before actually you hit the reports, actually, I should have done that's the first thing, but even before those reports get sent out, you have to have your settings set up to send the emails out. And sometimes this is the biggest obstacle, because sometimes people don't know their SMTP settings. So if you don't, you need to check with either your IT folks or your internet you know, email provider to get these. But to get to your settings, it's in the lower, the button's lower down here, lower right hand corner. And right here we have email account settings. So basically you need your email address, your email username, which more times than not is the same thing as your email address, your email password, hopefully you know that. And then this one is, these next couple are usually what people need their IT folks for, is their server, whatever that server address is, the SMT port, and then whatever the encryption is, whether it be none, SSL, or TLS. Now, one thing I can say is if anybody here has Exchange, this is pretty universal. So if you want to copy, I'll leave this up here for a minute or so. Not the username and address, but the actual server here, this part here, and then the port and TLS. That is pretty standard for any Exchange address. So all you would need to know is your email address and your email password, and you should be good to go if you're using Exchange. Now, if you have your own system, you know, you need to find out whatever your particular server is, okay? And then what you always want to do before, you know, clicking OK and close here, you want to test your connection, and hopefully you get that. If you get an error message, typically it's going to be either it's going to be one of these things is wrong. Either your email address is incorrect, your password's wrong, or your server's incorrect on there. So if you do get a bad error message, let us know. We can take a look at it. But you know, first thing is check with your IT folks to what those values are, and more times than not, they should be able to help you put the right things in there. Okay. The server settings. So right here where it says start time and delay emails. So this is when you want the service to run. Now I changed mine here to 304 because I had it run that email to you guys just as our class was starting today. But typically you're going to want one of two things here. You're going to want it to run, for like first thing in the morning, anytime, between 6 to 9 a.m. probably, or maybe last thing in the day, between 4 to 6 p.m. because maybe you want reports of what happened that day at the end of the day, depending on how you sort of want those. if you're using the reports, how you sort of want them, reporting on today, or maybe you get them tomorrow in the morning, reporting on yesterday. Okay. Also remembering that people are going to be getting the emails that you send out from here, whatever time you sent this. Okay. So with that being said, usually we suggest people or advise people to do it in the morning, because that's before their day gets busy. They get the email and they get to see it, whatever the particular email is. Okay. But this can be whatever, there's no, it's not set in stone. That's whatever time you want it to be. Once again, just be aware that your computer needs to be on during that time, whenever you're using this. And, everything needs to be, Act doesn't need to be open, but the Knowtifier service needs to be running. So if you have any kind of things that maybe shut down things in the middle of the night, you probably don't want it running at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., something like that, when maybe you have backups running or other kind of maintenance running on the servers, things like that. If you know your emails may be larger than, let's say, 25 at a time, because you have, whatever criteria you've given it, you just know that, you're going to be sending out 50, 100, 200, whatever at a time. You'll want to delay the emails by maybe 30 seconds, meaning that they'll be delayed. It'll send an email, wait 30 seconds, send an email, and so on and so forth. Anywhere between maybe 10 to 30 seconds, just so you don't get white or listed as spam and things like that if you're really sending out a lot of email. If you think you're going to be sending out a lot of emails in one particular time. Okay. If you're sending out 10 to 20 each day, that's probably not going to, you really don't need a delay there, I don't think. Okay. Service status. So when you first get Knowtifier, okay, when you first install it, this will probably say, I think it either says stop, or it might even be blank actually, the status. And the first thing you'll want to do before doing anything is click the install button. It'll flash a couple screens, install the service in the background. And then if it ever says stop, what you'll want to do then here is just hit the start button. Okay. And then as long as it says running, you're good to go. If it says stop, hit the start button and it should re-kick it in to running. If you get any errors with that, let us know and we can, figure out what the issue might be. Sometimes antivirus blocks it. Sometimes the service, the Windows person doesn't have the correct permissions. So there's a couple of different issues that may pop up there if the service is not running. All right. But that's really all you need to know on the email settings thing. Once again, there's a reporting for Act tab here, but that's only if you have the reporting for Act plugged in as well with it. So we'll just skip over that for today's purposes. Okay. Vic, any questions on the settings that did you get?
Yeah, we have some questions here. We could, if the birthday sample is there, if in the birthday sample, is there a certain format that should be entered in? It should be entered in.
Okay, that's good. Any questions specific to the settings before I get to that though? Before I get off the screen.
Let me just see here. Quick question, how many seconds recommended between emails? Usually about 30 is recommended.
Ken, is that about right? 30? Or could they even go lower?
30 is on the upper limit. Yeah, you wouldn't want to go much beyond that. I mean, the important thing is to batch them and then separate them by, up to 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay, here's a bit longer question. If we were to create a stream of smart tasks to send client emails at a certain point in time, can we set 2 rules? E.g., 7 days before, 7 days after to cover the weekend interruptions downtime. After all, the weekend is 28% of the week. That's going to be missed. We need Knowtifier to run on a PC, ensure that these weekend dates are picked up and not missed.
Did they just say smart tasks?
Maybe they're...
No, not smart tasks. Oh yes, smart tasks to send client emails.
Yeah. I'm assuming they mean Knowtifier.
Yeah, so just a little background on smart tasks. We actually tried to use that, I would say 3 years ago, maybe even 4, and we found a lot of trouble with it. It just wasn't really consistent, wasn't very reliable, and that's really how Knowtifier was born, because we needed to do things internally ourselves to send things out, and smart tasks was not reliable. It was either sending duplications or it wasn't sending anything at all. So we're like, okay, let's just write something that does it, and that's sort of how Knowtifier was born. So we really advise people against using any kind of smart task at all due to that. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Then there was one about the birthdays, Vic, I think.
Yeah, and in the birthday sample, is there a certain format that should be entered in?
As far as, I'm guessing, the birthday itself, maybe the date. Is that what they mean? If that's what the question is, if it matters as far as the format of the birthday, it doesn't matter, because I believe Canada use, I'm in the States here, so we use the proper way. Like as I tell Ken. But I know, different countries, they have the day first, then the month. That doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is it needs to be a date field. It can't be a character field where you're just typing in the date. So if you have a date field, then you'll know if you click your drop down here, you'll see a little calendar. That's the easiest way to tell if you have a date field or not. So that's really the only sort of formatting that you need to worry about with the birthday field, or any other date fields that Knowtifier uses. It has to be an actual date field. And so if you go to Tools, Define Fields, if you're an admin and you get into your main database, you'll see this. And then it'll either be an annual event field, which is a date field, or a date field itself. It'll be one of those two. If it's a character field, the Knowtifier really can't read that as a date. Okay.
All right. One other question, Michael.
Yeah.
If we want to remind clients of events coming up, can this software do this? We would need to send to maybe 100 or more per day.
Okay. So if it's, and that's what I'll get to here, this activity reminder. So if it's activities that you have scheduled inside your database, absolutely. And that's a great segue to the next thing I was going to go here, which is an activity reminder. So let me show you that. Get in here. And so that notice type is known as an activity email alert. We'll enable it. You give it a name, whatever you want to name it. Here's the template path, activity reminder notice. So let's just show you what the actual template looks like. We're going to get into it by going to the template editor. And the template editor is separate from the Act Word template editor. So if you use the Word as your template editor for Act things, you can use not ignore that, but it's going to be a separate editor. Disregard this. You probably won't see this. This is because I've done some manipulation with my custom tables here. That's why that comes up. Okay, so I'm going to open up the file I want to edit here, or just to show you. That is the activity reminder notice. Okay, so this is saying, here's a reminder of your upcoming scheduled event. Here's the details below. It's going to merge in the activity type, the date and time of the activity, the regarding, who it's scheduled with, and the details. And then it has a nice little Knowtifier logo below there.
Now, who does the email come from, Michael?
Okay.
Can you specify which user it comes from?
We're getting to that. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
So, no problem. Yeah, so that's the template that gets sent. And then next, now we choose, okay, which users should be included with this? So let's say you have 20 users in your Act database, but maybe only 6 of them need this because the other 14, they're not, the people they work with don't need the alerts for whatever reason. Okay, so you can choose the users that get it. Okay, or you can just say, okay, any user that creates an activity in our database, they can get sent the reminders. Same thing here. You can limit it to certain activity types. So I mentioned that we utilize this in our database. So we utilize it only for a specific activity type that we call Act Service, and that's when we have to call somebody to do a web meeting, we label that in our database as an Act Service. So I choose select activity types, and then once again, our database is just an option there, Act Service. But same thing here. You can either do all or select a certain particular type that you want. Here's when you trigger the settings, when that email should go out. So does it go out? And this is one of the things, let me preface that by saying this is one of the things that doesn't necessarily go out at the time when those settings are set. Remember I mentioned how the settings are set, like you want to set them at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. So this actually, as long as your Knowtifier service is running all day, this will run throughout the day and send the actual emails out whenever this happens. So it doesn't send the email out at 6 a.m. if you have it set for 6 in your settings. It's going to set them out based upon these trigger settings you have here. So you can have it set based upon the activity alarm. So when you schedule that activity in Act, show you that, schedule a call, and you have it set for, let's say, 1 hour. Then it's going to, an hour before that activity, it's going to send an email to Brian about this activity, okay? Or, let's go back to Knowtifier. you can just say, okay, no matter what the activity alarm is, I always want it set to 30 minutes prior, okay, or 1 hour, or 2 days, whatever you want. Okay, you can set that to whatever you want there. And then you have the option to send email to. So who's it going to be sent to? It's going to be sent to either the scheduled user, so that's the user in act that it's scheduled for, all associated contacts, meaning that any contact that's linked to that activity, it'll send them an email, or both, scheduled user and all contacts. Okay. Here's your subject, email subject. Once again, you have the ability to CC people if you want. You can change the reply to address. Okay. So the email that it's coming from is whatever you have in settings. Okay. So whatever that settings email you have in that global setup, that's where the email comes from. However, your reply to address, so when the person gets the email, it's going to come from Michael K at KQC, but the reply to address is going to be whoever the user is of the activity, whoever the activity is scheduled for. So it could be Nav, it could be Greg Davis, Billy Clark, whoever. When they hit reply, it's going to that person instead of me. Okay. And then as far as email address, what field are we emailing to? You would email the primary email field. That's by default. If for some reason maybe you have multiple fields in there for emails, maybe you have a spouse's email or an assistant's email, you could say use contact fields and then choose whatever else, whatever email field you want as well, and it'll send it to that field too. You can also record a history if you wanted to. It'll create a history that you sent that email, and then that's it. So I guess that was a long way of telling the answer, but the answer of where the email comes from is always going to be here in the settings. So this is the email address that it always comes from. And then but as far as as I mentioned with that activity one, once again, just a reminder, right here where it says change reply to address, that could be, you can make that whatever you want it to be, whether it be do not change, which is the same person, or the record manager of the contact, the activity record manager, or you can have a custom that's always replying to a specific, sales at keystroke.com or .ca or whatever you want to reply to. Okay.
So it cannot send from a specific, from changing who it's coming from, but you can do the reply to anyone you want.
Correct. That is correct, yes.
Okay, and in the activity reminder, in the template, how can we have the company name of the contact linked to the activity? And then in the template, I can only find the name of the contact.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. So let's edit. So let's see, let's put the company name here. So the company, so you saying you can't find the company field on the contact, or?
Let me read that again here. In the activity reminder, in the template, how can we have the company name of the contact linked to the activity?
Yeah, so right, just like that. So, on the record type, you choose contact, and then in the list, select company, and then insert it, and then it'll put when the template goes out, it'll have the company name there.
Excellent, thank you. One more question. Can a multiple contact field be set up or only a single field? For example, send an email to husband and wife.
Yep, absolutely. So if we go back to, where's that at? Right here. So the email address, so once again, the primary contact email, that's going to be this email right here. That'll be that email field. But if they also use, let's say they use the personal email address field as well, okay, and I want it to go there, I would say use contact fields and then choose personal email from that dropdown or whatever their additional email field is. So then it's actually going to send it out to both those email addresses.
Good, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all caught up on those?
Yes, thanks.
Okay,
yeah.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so let's go to another one. So this one here, once again, use it as a template, but this one's going to actually send out an email to a client. And this is based upon the insurance new custom table again. And this is going based upon this issue date. being yesterday. So if they got issued a new policy yesterday, they'll get an email. Okay, so let's go to that Knowtifier and show you how that's set up. So it's an email notice. Give it a name. Let's go ahead and show you that template. Okay, so hi, there's the citation. Thanks for enrolling in a keystroke insurance plan. Your plan details are below. And then all these fields are pulling from that custom table. Their policy number, plan type, coverage, renewal date, carrier, premium, and issue date. All right. Once again, here we set where we're pulling what we're going to trigger on. So we're triggering on a custom table, the insurance new custom table. We're not setting any additional criteria there. And we're using the date field of insurance, issue date. And we're saying 1 day after that. So basically, when the issue date was yesterday, the email is going to be sent out to the client. Email subject, thank you for your purchase. Okay, everything else is default there. I'm going to record a history. And you can change the history type if you want to whatever you want it to be. A lot of times what people do is they'll actually create a history type called Knowtifier. This way they know when they look through their histories, they know that a Knowtifier, maybe Knowtifier email sent or Knowtifier email. This way when they look through their history or if they're doing reports, they can see how many things were triggered by the Knowtifier versus just a regular email that was sent to a client perhaps. And also we'll schedule a call 1 day after following up on the purchase. Okay. That's that. So let me show you that email. So I actually had it, even though I didn't have it, it's not an email report. I had it set to some of the clients have black hole in here. So these 3 people here down at the bottom here are getting that email. Okay. So hi Pat, thank you for enrolling, and then it has that person's details there for their custom for their insurance plan. This one has the same thing, different details maybe. Hi Sandy, and then Amanda as well. Okay, so if we were to go back to ACT, these are those 3 people here that have that Sandy, Amanda, Pat. Okay. There's that follow-up purchase activity. As you can see, I've done a lot of tests with this one. Okay. Renewal date reminder, that's very similar to the issue date one. The main difference here is that we're basing it on a renewal date, and I believe we have it set if it's like 7 days from now, they'll get that renewal, they'll get that email. So if we have that 7 days, once again, we have email notice, that template. And also this one, we did a little more criteria. They can only be active. So if they're active and the renewal date's within 7 days, they're going to get this email. 7 days before the renewal date. Insurance renewal date approaching. History. Okay.
Is there a way to add attachments or just links?
I add attachments. So let's go back in there. Yeah, there's no way to add an attachment to an email they're talking about, I'm guessing.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, correct. There's no way to do that. So in the template that you're creating, what you'd want to do is link it to a file, whether you have it on like a share file or a Dropbox or something like that, where you store some files. You just have the link in there in your template that you're sending.
Great, thank you. That answers the question.
Okay. I think that's all. Oh, here's another report I had here. So this is just showing me yesterday's activities, opportunities, anything that was open yesterday. That's another report. So similar to the renewals and old opportunities and that. So, okay. So that was pretty much what we set forth to cover today. So I'd like to just open the floor to any other questions that you guys might have, or things we've either covered today, or things maybe that we didn't necessarily address, but something you had in your mind that you're thinking, can Knowtifier do this, or you're having trouble with getting Knowtifier to do a particular thing on your end.
All right, no, there's no further questions this time, but it's worth reiterating that if any of you have anything to do with subscriptions, renewals, leases, anything along those lines, this was perfectly. I mean, the original reason we developed a Knowtifier was that we were having trouble internally because we do all of our renewals online. And so this was actually built for ourselves for internal use to start with, so that all our subscriptions, support contracts, ACT licensing, updates, everything is done through our Knowtifier. So our Knowtifier sends out hundreds of emails every week going through. So, and it's very reliable, and all of our renewals are done that way, and they have links that everybody can renew online then, or they can call in. So we use it ourselves, and we use it very religiously within our organization.
For sure. I have our contact information up there, so if you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Actually, a couple more came in now. Can it send reminders on opportunities and emails to sales managers to see where the pipeline is?
And send a reminder. Yeah, so that's sort of basically how these are set here. So let me go back to the Knowtifier here. So for example, where do we go here? So like the days in stage here, that are greater than 30 days. So if we look at that, so this would go out to the to the sales manager, and he's looking at this, and these are any opportunities that are in this particular stage over 30 days. Okay, but you can set that to whatever. So you can say, okay, anything older than 7 days, or anything that's been open for 7 days, anything that the estimated close date is in the past. Okay, so I mean, we really have you can base it upon any date field that you have here in the opportunity section, and that's great for sales managers. Okay, so if you're looking here, you can set this on any of these date fields: open date, estimated close date, days in stage, any of these. Okay.
All right, there's one more question. How does it work relicensing? If I think it means people are using it, sharing a database.
Yeah, so licensing, typically you're only going to need one license. Okay, it's usually licensed per database. So that's why you'd go on the server. It's a 1-user license. The only reason that you may want 2 licenses, or would even think about it, is if you needed it on multiple databases for whatever reason. Because it only does one database. It can't have multiple databases that it's reviewing. So that would really be the only reason that you want to have more than one license, would be if you had multiple databases on your server that you were notifying.
All right, then one more question. Any suggestions how send emails Monday to Friday to cover a weekend? What rules might you set that might pick up the downtime when a weekend occurs?
So we really haven't thought about that. So Ken, you're still on the call? I don't think so. So that may be something we might want to take to our developer on the roadmap, as far as like maybe adding something to a notice that says, if this occurs on a weekend, if it occurs on a Saturday, wait 2 days. If it occurs on a Sunday, wait 1 day. Something of that nature. There's nothing set right now that can do that. So if it happens on a weekend, they're going to get it on a weekend. So that's a good point, though. So we'll have to look into.
All right. Another question. Are you able to update a contact field after an opportunity closes or after an activity is cleared?
After an activity is cleared, no. After an opportunity closes, no, not there, no. Let's see here. Let me rephrase it. Maybe with an opportunity close, because you can maybe use the close date as, let's see here. Let's walk through that process. What would that be? Close date. yesterday. So 1 day after it would be when it changes. Okay, so 1 day after the date. Create an activity. No, you can't create a field there. I have to look into that one. If whoever that has that question, if they could email me on the specifics on that, and then I can look a little bit more in depth on that and see if there's a way to do that.
All right, send an email, James, to get your answer. Okay, that's it for the questions, Michael.
Okay, cool.
So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, thanks everybody for joining us today. It's been great. Once again, there's our contact information. And I would be remiss if I didn't wish another happy birthday to our own Vic here. He's been have a little birthday cake for him.
Thank you, Michael. I think we might have to edit this out of the video, but I appreciate the thoughts.
And thanks everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you everyone. And remember to look at the video again. Please go to our homepage, scroll down to training videos, keystroke training videos, and you find all of our videos there. So thanks very much and have a great day. Thanks, Michael.
All right, bye everybody.